Hello and welcome to Recap Rewind for March 2024. I'm your host MineyCart, and today I am joined by my fellow co-host Henrriik. How are you today, Henrriik?
I'm actually here for once.
Woo!
I'm not a stand-in. I'm not a replacement. I'm the real thing, and I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Would you like to introduce our fabulous guests today?
Yeah, sure, why not? So, first of all, we have one of our longtime collaborators and head writer, Nickie. Hi, Nickie.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Yep. And on the other corner of the ring, we have a very special guest, default profile picture on Discord's extraordinaire and Chunga's advocate, Portal.
Hello.
You really did.
Also,
enjoy
this is
that.
not the default. When Discord did its update thing, it changed my color, so I had to download this color and then
my God.
use it as a profile picture because
Yeah,
You have
Yeah,
to
not
download the
changing
blue version, the
'Cause
indigo version.
I remember
You-
that Winter used to be yellow, if I remember correctly.
yeah,
And then
Winter
she's
did
now
the same.
blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good old indigo color. Alrighty then, so we have a lot of headlines this month.
Quite
if you
a
didn't
lot.
watch the recap we're doing here, you should be watching the recap and then coming back here. So we have quite a few headlines to go through, don't we, Miney?
We do indeed. Is that you saying, Manny, please take the first one?
Yes.
Okay. In one GBA, Cosmic takes the 80% world record, Flood then ties the 80% world record, and Ursula beats it. And as Nikkie's noted here, the shortest Let's Play in the entire series.
Yep, it's less than 2 minutes, and it's so funny. On the complete opposite spectrum, from 2001 all the way to 2023.
Yes.
Was it last year that it came out? Hogwarts Legacy, yes. Hogwarts Legacy's very own Queen Lily has reclaimed Kill Ranrock hard for the 7th time. Yes, 7th, you heard it correctly. And
Jesus.
finally brings the category to sub 3 hours and 30 minutes. Very impressive.
Wait,
Yep.
that's sub 3 hours now? That's crazy.
Sub
Sub
330.
330.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And
like-
right after claiming that Kill Ranrock harder, he was able to improve the Kill Ranrock story by 5 minutes, making hard and story not tied. Because when she got the hard world record, I think hard and story were like 1 second apart. But then there is now that 5 second difference between the two.
5 minutes, even.
5 minutes, sorry. Thank you.
And, well, we're not done talking about Lily, are we? Because, yet again, she lowered the world record for hard, but this time instead of for Kill Ranrock, it was for any percent, getting the first sub 6 hours and 50 minutes by getting, well, almost a sub 6 hours and 40 minutes. So she was able to lower the record by an impressive 10 minutes around that. And the record now is only 9 seconds away from being a 6 hour 39 minutes record.
Yep. And moving on to talk about our favourite French person, Mr. Flow 203 beats the 100% world record for one Xbox, getting sub 3 and achieving 90 overall world records, which
Yep,
is quite the
and
feat.
It's incredible. And we're not done talking about Flow just yet.
Can I
Because
interrupt you guys for a second?
Yeah.
Just as Miney said,
I saw this.
said Flow 203. I was looking at my chat and I saw the notification pop up and then he went live.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, I saw the
It's like-
notification that his boost, he submitted his No Major Glitches world record. It's like he's listening in.
So, continuing to speak on Flow, and this is one of the last times. So we're still gonna hear from him again. But he actually took another world record. This time in a 6th gen category. Another one. another Xbox run, and this is another Honda run, and this is HP3 this time. It's 3 Xbox Honda.
He can't keep getting away with this.
You can't keep getting
But
away with it.
But it
Who
wasn't
came
the
up
only
with the
person
Jesse
taking,
Pinkman meme, by the way?
That was
Me.
Nicki.
That was very cringe. I mean, I loved it.
Cringe.
But
I am
Miney,
a comedic
this wasn't the
genius.
only world record in 3 Xbox, was it?
No, Henrik, it wasn't. I like what you did there. Mr. Ablazenak took the free Xbox No Major Skips world record and improved his own time, which is a slight correction which we'll get to later, but yes.
And this
That
was
is-
also not the only no major skips run being achieved world record. I like that this is all in a row. The homework's been done for me already. In 2 PS2, still on 6th gen, but a different console, the no major skips category has changed its name. Oh dear, no more no major skips for 2 PS2. Now it is any percent nets, or to call it by its proper name, any percent no end day skip. But I like Neds more.
Yeah, Ned's is
Any
good.
percent Neds. Good old
Speak-
Neds.
Speaking of changing categories and adding categories, HE6PC finally has a CE in Potions Rush, a run where you have to.
What is that about? You gotta get all the potions.
Yeah,
You
you've
gotta
got to
put all
collect
in a
brew all
row.
the potions. You
Brew
know,
all the potions in a row.
It's
Nice.
fun. It sounds like very fun and very analog stick destroying.
speaking of destroying,
My cult is real.
The new Lowcast record has been achieved, and well, it's no surprise that it's Akon again
For
in
HP1
one
PC.
PC.
Yeah.
Yep, it's yeah. No one else can touch that one.
yeah,
What do you mean no one else can touch that one? You recognize who had it before that, right?
true.
Yeah, Portal did hold it before.
I did it on purpose. Thank you
For like a
Portal.
year. But yeah. So he skipped 2 casts. Do you guys actually know where they are?
Um,
Over the last 2
course.
months, he saved 2 casts.
there's the
one
one.
of them in Lumos.
Correct.
Is the other one in the
I'm-
dungeons?
Yep, the spinny boost.
Oh,
Spinny
Yeah.
boost.
I
Spinny boost.
remember one of them being in Lumos because he sent me the videos.
so Portal, when are you taking that one back?
So first of all, I need to learn to do the icon boost without a macro, and then I need to. Well, actually, in terms of time, it is quite beatable. There's also one more savable cast that hasn't been achieved, but it probably won't be anytime soon. At least until we figure out a way to, and by we I mean likely him. Yeah, to do it a bit more consistently, because right now it's barely possible. Like you're not allowed to miss a single input.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Speaking of,
And it takes 5 minutes
yeah,
to perform that single boost. So
it's a very long. I had to speed up the footage last month a lot to get it into the time when Nicki was when SLS was talking about it. But speaking of cast skips, though, moving to 2 PC Lowcast, Coney this month, which it's crazy to think this was March. Like this feels like it was ages ago, but March, Coney found a skip in Forest, allowing you to skip a webcast, I believe, in the Forest
Correct.
level. Thank you.
yeah.
Basically, it's a wall walk, isn't it?
It's a clip into a wall walk, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
We are almost sub 50 casts in HP2
Oh yeah.
cast, which is really interesting. And of
casts
course,
away.
where there is a cast save, there is someone to take a record. And Dratman not only achieved the 53 casts Lowcast run, but also 51 in the same month, which is impressive to say the least.
Yes. And also a 51 cast run, we have to say, was a 10-hour run.
Yeah.
as
10 and a
Flo's,
half almost.
my
Easy.
apologies, 10 and a
Fast.
half.
Quick.
As Flo said when he watched the recap, bro did a Octofector Lowcast.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about the insaneness of that run later on, because that
We
run
should
has
go already.
gone down massively in the past couple of months, as we've seen, and covered on the recap. But speaking of covering on the recap, Flo takes 2PC any % from Bill. Oh my god,
You
Flo
can't
is...
keep getting away with it!
Thank you. Flo is such a bully, guys. Oh my god. No,
Poor Bill.
I know. Bill,
He's
though,
such a bully.
Flo took the record from him. But Flo was not done in 2PC in just any %, was he, Henrriik?
No, because in Glitchless, stuff heated up between Cake, Bill, and Flo. The three that have been in the top 3 for, well, Bill has been recently, but Bill's been grinding, and Bill's very good at it.
Portal had
and
top 2.
competition
At
was
the
I love how
start.
I was 7 seconds off and nobody knows.
Yeah, Portal.
beautiful.
Portal had top.
I
It's
Portal had
was
top.
gonna
beautiful.
say Portal was top 2.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It was an irrelevant grind.
But yeah, currently the world record is being held by Flo, with Cake being only 2 seconds behind, and then there's Bill, good old Bill, a solid 11 seconds behind the record, which is really impressive because those three are the only ones to have a sub 45 minute run, and they are all of them are about a minute ahead of anyone else.
I'd like to add a caveat though that Flo taking the record happened on the first day of April.
Correct.
True, it's a lie.
So
We shouldn't believe it.
big joke.
It hasn't happened
actually,
yet.
Big
April
joke.
Fools.
Funny. But yeah, we are talking about stuff that happened in March though.
Yeah. Didn't happen yet.
Should
Speaking though
definitely mention
of
that.
stuff that happened in March, Glitchless tournaments, Glitchless A happened this month, where lots of runners took part. We had the wonderful Cake, of course. Portal was there, Mip was there, Human was there, Nixer was there, of course. He was hosting the entire thing. And Portal's Glitchless grind came to fruition. As where did you come in the tournament again, Paul?
As in place wise or
Place-wise,
what?
yeah.
Place,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm third. Yeah.
Hey,
That's
awesome.
a very solid improvement from Glitchless B champion, I would say, 2 years ago.
That is because that was like right when you joined the community, wasn't it? You did Glitchless B.
Yeah, because someone felt like smashing his PC after certain pixies blocked his way and was like, "I'm done." So someone needed to take over.
Could be me.
I see.
But speaking of Portal,
Yeah, so technically, Nicki, me ever playing Glitchless is entirely your fault because I wouldn't have touched it otherwise.
as you can hear,
No.
Portal is very, very done
I'm
with Glitchless, so
responsible.
that's why Portal announced a HP2 tournament, but not Glitchless this time. It's a War Plus One,
Woo.
which is going to come to fruition later this year. So stay tuned for new news.
Yep, that will be in June, the first 2 weekends of June,
Correct.
and potentially the final weekend if it's needed for a third weekend to go around Islia's full series in the middle of the month. But speaking of signing up for things, we have officially opened applications for the recap team. We are looking for additional support in a few places. If you're interested, you can find out more information in the description of the main recap, and I will post it in the description of the recap rewind as well. But essentially, we are looking for a writer to assist Nicki with writing. We're looking for an editor to assist me with
Secretly,
editing.
I just kind of want a roommate for my cage. It's lonely here.
Yeah.
Mine is
yeah.
not mine.
But
is,
hang on, how you got your
currently the-
your feathered friend who poked his head in towards the end of your recording for this month's recap?
You be my cat?
Your cat? Was that your cat that made that noise?
Ooh, yeah, like you mean like he got on the chair and he like like started digging his nails into the thing. Like I was trying to like finish up, and then he was like I don't know what happened.
Speaking of not knowing what happened, Henrik, our final headline.
Our final headline, yes, it's the Saturday showcase trailer that has dropped over on the Recap Team thingy-magic YouTube channel and stuff. It's been revealed finally. Basically, on every Saturday. I don't want to lie. I think it's on every Saturday.
Ideally, yes, that's the intention.
Yeah.
On some Saturdays, we're gonna try to keep it consistent, but as a caveat, I'm just gonna say on some Saturdays, members of the community are able to showcase things they feel like are important or noteworthy or just outright fun and hilarious over on our YouTube channel, so it gets spread out throughout
Well,
the grapevine.
Well, it would mainly be on this Twitch channel, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Showcase Saturdays is something that I wanted to do together with a Blaze Night. We think that it would be fun for people to submit challenge runs or races that they want to do. Anything HB related. Uh, we'd like the we'd like this Twitch channel to become a platform where people get to, like people get to have a spotlight show on their favorite games, uh, anything HP related, really. HP
So,
Kiss tournament, anybody?
I was going to say,
Yeah,
so will you be accepting 60S to this, Nikki?
yeah. Why not? If people want to raise 6DS, anything like I wouldn't mind. I would totally not mind.
Okay. Thank you, Nikki, for that information, and keep an eye out on the socials for more information about signing up for that as well. Moving on really quickly
Yeah.
to the credits. The host and the script writing of this recap was done by Nikki here. Some additional writing was done by Starlight Sims. Closed captions were provided by the wonderful Winterstorm. Our meme contributor, in terms of who collaborated all the memes that you saw in the meme segment, was the wonderful Duke D. Luke, aka Luke, aka Portal Guy 2000. Our cult artist was Ilish, who did the really lovely piece that you saw during Nikki's demonic breakdown, let's just say.
So good, isn't it?
It really was good. And it was edited all together by me. And gameplay footage was provided for HP4 by Blaze Knight, 8PS1, one PS1, sorry, by Flow, and legacy footage was provided by Ilish. So, now we're going to move into our stories that deserve more love. And for those of you that are listening for the first time, essentially, this is a story in the month of March that we think deserve more love. But to start things off, we also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge any issues that came up with the recap. We had one small minor one that was brought up by Blaze Knight talking about the free Xbox No Major Skip world record. In the recap, we said that he'd taken it from DSP Mike, and in fact, from double checking, Mike hasn't held the record for 3 years, which was our bad, because I proofread the script, so I should have spotted that. But yeah, and
Yeah, I got that's I don't know. My bad, I suppose. I just went to go like I looked at what's it called? Obsolete records, and that was the last record I saw.
yeah, but yeah, the previous world record. I've still got this cough. It's really bad. The previous world record before this one was a 209.31. From Blaze Knight himself. But Mike did once have the record, and it is nice to hear Mike's name pop up because Mike hasn't been around in a while, and we miss you, Mike. If you're listening,
Mike was so
listening.
positive when he was in the community, dude. I
I
really like that guy. I really like that guy.
I love that guy, and he used to do like Lego streams because he used to work in like a Lego store. So he would do like Lego unboxings and stuff like that. That's so cool. Anyway, stories that deserved more love. For me, this month, I probably should have prepared this. For me, I think it was probably be um I'm looking for it. Probably the Glitchless tournament. And I think we covered it well, but I do think, it's a big event. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do with the channel is have like retrospectives on tournaments. Although I'm aware that would be such a lot of work, along with our current output. But one of the things I'd really have always wanted to do is like, retrospectives on tournaments. And, I feel like we could spend hours just talking about the Glitchless tournament, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about it in a deep dive in a little bit. But, wonderful tournament organised as ever by Nick. So obviously there was also Glitchless B that happened, but that happened at the start of April, so we won't talk about that today. But Glitchless B also was a fantastic tournament, and I know it did happen in April, but I'm just going to acknowledge it. Nixer was ill during a lot of the Glitchless B tournament, yet he still pushed through and put on the tournament for everyone, which I think is a very selfless thing of him to do, and I commend him a lot for that. So yeah, that's my story that deserved more love this month. Paul, what's yours?
So Akon took Lowcast in the 1st of March, which honestly feels like it's been more time since then, but I guess not that long has passed. I mean, that run is like only 4.5 hours long. Well, only 4.5 hours long. With you gotta keep in mind he did a lot of messing around in that run, so like a lot of that time is savable. Like even still, like all of the strategies he got really quickly, but since he memed a lot, like he was still able to get like a really good time even with meming, with like the hardest strategy the category has ever seen in the run. Plus, like he did Lumos with like a con boost into Savebook Super Jump, which is just ridiculous. Like that's you if you fail the Savebook Super Jump once, you have to restart the entire run, especially after getting like the boost that he did. So that's a pretty big thing. Obviously Ratburn, like 2 PC Lowcast is now 51, which he got pretty quickly after the 53. Like I remember him like coming to my chat and was like, I'm gonna do Lowcast for 12 hours if you PB today and Glitchless, and I did PB. So he ended up doing 12 hours of Lowcast. He was joining streams. Was like, yep, I'm still in Goyle, still doing this. So a lot of like just stamina and effort, and that run is actually quite tragic. It could have been like at least 3 hours shorter, but something very stupid happened 3 times. So that's one that deserves big attention in my opinion. Like those 2 runs, I cannot understate how impressive they are to me. Having done Lowcast myself in both games like numerous times, admittedly more in the first one than the second one, it's just it's remarkable that someone would have like the stamina and the patience to not only grind these strategies but also get good at them, because they know exactly what they're doing, right? Like it's not like they're going into this brute forcing with no plan in mind. No, they've spent the time to prepare, they've spent the time to learn the strategies, they've spent the time to think of like various setups. Now, of course, Aragog into Lowcast is an exception, as we still don't have that one 100% figured out, like at all. But he was still like his plan was to wing that one and just go with everything else. But if you look at everything else from that run and a cons run, right? Like you have a Flipendo that was performed really well by a con. You have a Rick to Sempra that was performed really well. He was out by minute 17. He basically first tried almost everything. Well, the Gnome Corridor did take a couple of tries, but that one's like normal. And yeah, overall, like those 2 runs are really important to me. And also, like another thing that really impacted me as a runner is Pekine's overall improvement in HP2. I feel like that deserves a lot of attention. No one's talking about it as much as they should be, but the guy just became a top runner overnight by putting so much practice into it. I'm so proud of him. He was able to watch top runners play and kind of like mimic what they do, literally just like redo it on the spot. And from replicating, he was able to learn some of the hardest strategies. Uh, and in that way, he is top competitive. Like I know that Henrik said that like the top 3 are in a league of their own, but in a way that's not entirely true, because Pecan achieved a time that in the Glitchless B tournament, that if that time was to be compared to a normal game, like without any spell learning skips or without RNG skips, he'd be like 5 or 6 seconds or something like that behind human, which is not a minute. And obviously there are other runners that have impressively improved, but that's just the one that comes to mind the most. And yeah, obviously, like, so many people learning the glitchless defendo skip. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 runners that know it now. I hope I'm not
Something like that,
miscounting.
yeah, I think.
Yeah, I hope I'm not miscounting. And that's definitely not just Flo, Cake, and Bill.
Yeah.
So I am very proud of everyone that did
Rocky.
do it. Oh, 12. It's 12. I think it's 12. Yeah, it's 12 because Artful as well.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is.
So that's kind of like about the stuff that was really impressive to me over last month, and I can't believe all of that happened within a month.
I know it's kind of crazy. We will be. I can say we will be talking more about PK next month. For reasons I won't spoil. Besides the glitchless improvements, but yeah, I won't spoil it, but yeah, because obviously we are talking about March. But thank you, Portal, for your stories that deserve more love. Nicki, what is your story that deserves more love this month?
HP6 has a CE now. I'm,
You could...
I don't care what you say, Miney. My cult is real. We're taking over the world soon with
What
crests and
was that
potions.
the one you were hoping for, or was there like another one that you would have liked as a CE?
I mean, there's another one that could have been a good meme, but I get why people are against it, right?
The Harry stumbling one?
flop percent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flop percent.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be funny. I can see the argument. I can see the argument against it, but then again, there's other categories on the CE leaderboards that have the same premise as flop percent has, which is, oh, this is funny. Like, let's do a speed run that is
Yeah,
just
don't we already have like
goofy.
technically like what 5, 6 runs of that
Yeah, we
available?
do. We
Well, then
do.
what's the problem? If people want
Um,
the CE, then they should
the
have a CE.
problem is,
Yeah,
the
we've already
problem
added one.
is, the problem is that it's very like telegraphed, and then eventually like everybody will just have the same time, because just like the optimal way to follow will be
Well,
found, and then there will be a leaderboard full of
well,
ties, and I will not name names, but some people think that's stupid. So
do you think that would actually be the case though? Because like I don't know, theoretically that's a thing that can happen to every speedrun. Like
yeah, but
I
like
mean,
if it's what's it called? But if it's like every like I think the run would look like everybody just plays through like the first 10 11 minutes of the game, and then they would trip in the common room, and then like it would very quickly become that, as opposed to like like as opposed to what you're saying, like technically, if enough time and effort is put into any game, like and everybody at the same time improves,
Well,
like in an ideal world, everybody would have a tied world record, right?
well, yeah. That's not what I'm asking though. Like the route is irrelevant, and what like the most optimal method to fall down is.
Mhm.
Wouldn't like what ultimately matters in a speed run is um, whether or not the runners themselves believe it would serve as an entertaining competition. Because if people want a leaderboard, something like fighting for frames should not be a problem, and leaderboard full of ties is easily fixable by adding milliseconds. So that argument, especially like we've had, I know for a fact at least 5 people have run that now. So
Mhm.
like if people want a leaderboard and if there's 5 people willing to run HP6 for 10 minutes just to make this happen, then there's probably going to be more interest in it. There's obviously like you mentioned like other categories, not just in HP but in general in speedrunning, that are like similar in premise. Some are like even dumber, like death
Mhm.
percent, die as fast as possible, which
And
technically suffers from the same issue that you mentioned. Like, eventually
yeah.
everyone would just, die the fastest way possible, but that's not the point, right? Um, so yeah, although like that we went on a tangent here, but in the topic of all potions, I feel like that's a really cool category extension idea. It's one
Yeah.
that's like very skill based as well, because doing those potions
Oh,
fast is hard, man.
that was exactly the one that I was going to highlight.
Eh,
As a story that deserved more love was the Potions Rush, because it's exactly as it said. It requires a lot of skill. It requires a ton of inputs in a row. Um, all the recipes are always exactly the same, so there's
it
no
has
RNG
a
involved.
it has a bit of menuing involved as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a uh, at a certain point I was when it was added as a CE, I was like, oh yeah, why wasn't it a CE before? Because it just seems so
Because
obvious.
nobody
yeah,
put in the effort.
it
Let me
makes sense, right?
let me tell you guys about my master plan this month.
Oh my god, tell us about your
Go
master plan.
on.
so so I knew that I was gonna voice the recap for March, right? And
Yep.
I knew Flo and Katashi both had done a potion rush run already, and I had done one already as well. I just didn't upload it, and I guess I deleted the recording. So I think like somewhere in the middle of last month, I just quickly did one run, recorded it, uploaded it, and I was like, "Hey, here's the third run." No, there's yeah. So I got to talk about it. It was me, the HP6 High Priest. Uh, yeah, that was my master plan.
Shaking my
That is a
head.
good plan. There's obviously a lot of potential for HP6 category extensions if people have interest, which clearly they
Like not
do.
even
But
categories. I feel like bingo could be super fun in HP6.
oh yeah, for sure, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah,
Although like
definitely.
HP6 does suffer from a very big problem, which is an accessibility issue because it doesn't function well for everybody.
Yeah.
So
But
later games have that.
yeah,
Yeah.
if we can find a way around that, so that everyone could compete fairly, then I
And,
do think HP6 is probably the best for bingo out of the later games.
and if you're looking to more category extensions in HP games, I all portraits 5PC. I need to advertise this because it's the best one.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
It's really fun and it's really quick. It's like one of the few runs that I've done, so I need to
Yeah,
advertise.
V8, who's like a top 5, I believe, HP5 runner, advocates for it to be. Well, at some point he told me it should even be like a main category, or
Which I don't
rather,
agree, but I understand the sentiment. It's
yeah,
a very fun scene.
yeah.
Okay, so if everyone's talked about their stories that deserve more love, then we can deep dive into our big discussion. which is a bit of a combo one of the Glitchless tournament, plus, because of course we've got Portal here, we couldn't not talk to him about Lowcast. So we'll transition into Lowcast after a little bit. But yeah, Glitchless A tournament, guys. And I think the first thing I want to acknowledge is the wonderful trophy that PAX made for both the A and the B tournament. Portal, let me ask you to start with. I feel like most people want, like, obviously play in tournaments just for the experience and don't care about the trophy. But how does
Oh yeah.
it feel for you to have like a physical reward for something like this?
As in general, or
As
like what exactly
you,
is the question?
as
Oh,
uh,
as me, if I were the one to win it. I mean, obviously, like it's a good bit of motivation. I don't think there's a problem with it. In any case, like obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of us, especially me, I don't know if you've noticed, but joined this tournament or these tournaments for the shits and giggles and just meme wherever we possibly can, and basically try to have like the time of our lives with little competition involved, with obviously like the runners involved playing our favorite games. But I do think it was incredibly nice of PAX to do this because for once, like, I genuinely say this a lot, but I don't know if it will ever get heard properly. The winners of these tournaments do not get enough recognition, in my opinion. As in all the time they've spent to get where they are. Like all the obviously like all the difficult matchups they've had to go through. And yeah, that just beating a bunch of people in a no reset setting is incredibly difficult. So I do like that there's like now some sort of like at least physical motivator for them that kind of like acknowledges and says, "Good job, you did this." So in my opinion, it's a really good and fun thing to do. Um, like obviously, like I said, not everyone is going to be competitive. But yeah, I do think it's incredibly sweet from PAX to do this because these runners deserve a lot more. It's very easy to go for, oh, World Plus tournament, oh, HP1 tournament. Well, obviously Flo's gonna win. Well, why is Flo gonna win? Flo's gonna win because he practices more than anyone else. Flo's gonna win because he puts the hours in. Flo is going to win because Flo understands these games on a level that we do not, and that is the reason that he has like a noticeable skill advantage over everybody else. But that's not free. It doesn't mean that he's not like a human being like every single one of us. He still is. It's incredible the amount of practice he does. I don't even want to start talking about how many years it would take for me, for example, to catch up to him in HP1, because that is a practice routine that is incredibly brutal, unforgiving, and at the end of the day, unrewarding and underappreciated, in my opinion. So I do appreciate the fact that PAX did this because it is some sort of like um, uh, an acknowledgement of their efforts, which was not present. Like obviously, everyone can say congratulations, you won, but now the winners will actually have something physical to remind them of their fun memories in the tournament, of all the different conversations they had during the runs, and yeah, all of that is really cool in my opinion. So epic and big shout outs to PAX because um, also getting these trophies cannot have been easy or cheap either. So
Yeah, I was gonna say PAX. Big
yeah,
shout outs to PAX as well for footing the bill for both the Glitchless A and the
yeah,
Glitchless B trophies.
yeah.
Like,
I thought that was incredibly based because I don't know. It's just it feels as though speed running um is still thought of as a niche hobby, and everyone overlooks all the effort involved. So I really appreciate that Pax did what he did.
yeah, definitely. Um, Nikki.
PAX is just Pax is just very generous in general, right? Like,
He
um,
Pax is someone who is incredibly generous with his time and with his money, and he gets a lot of appreciation for that. But I think it's something you can never fully thank someone for. I myself can say that I have been bombed by Pax, love bombed, for want of a better expression, before,
Bomb
and
is something that we should
it,
preface.
yeah, I realized after I said it, I will clarify, love bombed, because yeah, it's insane how generous and kind that man is, and normally, it sounds weird to say, but normally when you have that kind of, um, people with money, you start to perhaps look at them a little bit questionably because it's like, are you just trying to get into a position of power or something? Like I think we've seen people like that before, but I don't. Pax is not that. 100%, he is not that. He is like one of the kindest people I've had the privilege to meet, and he's a wonderful addition to our recap team. And yeah, he's also now. I can say he's also taken on acting head of tech at Potfun, which is a really exciting role for him.
Ooh.
And I am really excited to work with him to put on Potagon 2024 in May. So yeah,
Nice.
Very soon, very soon. When are stuff opening for people to submit runs?
soon, DM. I'm not at liberty to say exactly when, but soon,
Please
very soon. By
submit.
the time this ends up on
Prepare.
YouTube.
Alright.
Um, Nickie, let me ask you this: as a viewer of these tournaments, how does it feel to see, like Portal says, like the winners rewarded in such a way? Does it mean as much to you as it does to the runners and Portal himself? Clearly,
it feels really cool, yeah. Um, I think it like makes it real, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a very good way of putting it.
I feel like what's it called? Like the way Portal said it, like when you said Portal, like I feel like people don't get enough recognition. Like this is one of the ways that like real tournaments, like let's say like any like sports tournament, like people get trophies, and that's what makes it real. Like they can like now like both Cake and I think Pecan, right? Was it
Yeah.
Pecan who won?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they can like they have something to put on the shelf and look at and be like, yo, what the fuck? Like I won this. Like it's crazy. Like and people who won before, like they have like the title, I guess. Like they have the recognition, but like it kind of fades away after a while, right? Because there's not like any memento. And maybe that's also kind of why we would need to do these like tournament um like retrospective, maybe, like just to like shine on, like just to like put a shine on you know the people who put like the time and the work in and effort in to win one of these things.
yeah, definitely, and it is something that I think is in my plan for like later this year. I think once Saturday Showcase has taken off and we've got it going, once the series that SLS is working on with Beaver and Flo has gotten going, I think that's the point where I'd start to look at, can we do this? Because obviously the thing with the tournament retrospective is it's kind of relying on when tournaments happen, and therefore getting stuff like that turn around quickly. Plus, then you can backlog and do older tournaments. But obviously, with a retrospective of an older tournament, it's a lot more research than if you're able to just sit and watch the tournament and be there for it yourself. If that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
I want that series to do well, so I want to give it the time it'll need. And at the moment, obviously, we are working on building up what we've got at the moment and making that stable before we add anything else to the mix. So it is on my plans for the end of this year, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Um, okay. So we've talked a bit about Cake being the winner of the tournament. Cake went through the winners bracket, so he didn't lose a single match, and then also didn't lose a match in the final. Portal, talk to us about how difficult that is, especially in a no reset zone.
With the lineup that you see, like I'll just open the bracket real quick. Yeah, okay, standings, there we go. So with the lineup that you see, you have Cake, you have Flo, you have me, you have Zasta, you have Beaver, you have Mip, you have Luzak, you have Cass, you have Nixo, you have Katash, you have Momo, you have Human, you have Jessica, Cactus, Saku, and Superman. You will notice that all of these names are pretty big, and most of them are pretty high up on the leaderboard. Zasta was the one that held the glitchless world record the longest since I've been in the community. And back when I joined, there was such a clear and just like obvious skill gap between him and anybody else that it was out of the question for anyone to beat him, because of the things I mentioned earlier. He simply put a lot of time into playing glitchless and practicing the the different strategies involved, went for best cycles and levels, and had like everything figured out. The way he put it to me personally was, I was just the only one who really played that category back then. So there was like no one to even like try. And if you look at the leaderboard now, Zasta's run still stands on the leaderboard. However, it's now like, what is it, like 7th place or something? Which is remarkable. Like, sure, we can now 6th place. Yeah, we can now skip a level. However, not all of the improvements have been from that. Obviously, Mip and Flo had a little glitchless world record battle before Cake came along and figured out you can skip one of them levels, which is such a disgusting discovery, by the way. This is something that any percent runners from 10 years ago would have used and like would have like creamed over. But yeah, when you look at that lineup and then you look at Cake and then you look at everybody else again, from like the initial viewing, you would think there is no clear winner here because all of us kind of caught up, right? Like Zasta and I are roughly the same skill level now. Obviously, Flo is Flo. Obviously, Human is Human. Obviously, Luzak is Luzak. And Mip is Mip. He still holds the most impressive HP2 glitchless run that I've personally ever seen. I don't want him to beat that run. I've talked to him about it because I think it's the best glitchless run ever performed. And it's just like Cake put it really well. It's just objectively a really good run. That's like there's very little time left in it. But yeah, when you look at all of these people, the fact that Cake lost to nobody, with using strategies involved that are like so incredibly risky, and can end up biting you in the ass, which they did for him on several occasions, and he still won. That is truly remarkable. Now, obviously, there's a lot of like nuance into why he won all of the games that he did. But what it basically comes down to is he was well and above practiced more than anybody else. If you look at his current PB from 11 days ago, that's just 2 seconds from the world record. Do me a favor, everyone. Watch the Willow. Watch the Willow and tell me that's a human being performing it, because I haven't seen anyone move an HP2 the way that Cake does. It's some of the most impressive like movement tech that I've ever seen. And I talked to him in call while racing him, and he basically told me that at some point it developed into an addiction, even, and it's such a cool addiction because this is like the moment I raced him, I realized, shit, I have no chance where I currently am right now. Like, yeah, our PBs were 7 seconds apart, or 15 seconds apart, somewhere along those lines. But PBs lie. Obviously, you won't be playing up to your PB skill level all the time, but his consistency was just better than everyone else's. And if you watch that tournament back, the only person that rivaled him in consistency is Flo. And what I mean by consistency is not going for the hardest stuff and getting it. It's being able to do whatever your route is with as little time loss as possible. Be it making obvious mistakes, or taking a death, or um, just kind of like hesitating with stuff. Real consistency means taking a route and then being comfortable with that route to the point where in a tournament setting you are like just confident enough that you're not going to fail anything, right? That's what real consistency is in a speedrunning tournament setting. And Cake had that and more. Sure, the only level for him that lacked consistency, the only two levels were Chamber 1, notably, and Defendo. However, like those two levels are obviously not going to be 100% consistent simply because they're the hardest level of the speedrun. And everyone, as we've seen in the tournament, is going to mess up there because it's just that hard. Um, but when it comes to like anything else consistency wise, I believe Cake deserved the wins uh, simply because it was more than clear enough that he was more consistent. And like the more I watched him play, the more I was like, yep, he's gonna win it all. Because when I initially just signed up for the tournament and saw all the people involved, I legitimately had no clue who would win. I had no idea how consistent Defendo Skip was. I had no idea that it's even doable by someone that isn't Cake. Like I had no idea that people would go for it, that people would learn it and get so good at it to make stuff even more unpredictable. And most importantly, I did not know how much Cake grinded because he doesn't stream. And because he doesn't stream, it's really easy to underappreciate all the work that he puts in runs, but we have information that he's able to or capable of grinding up to 12 hours per day. So against someone like that, uh, I feel absolutely no shame to losing. In fact, I admire that person a lot, and I have big respect for Cake, as people know. People legitimately made memes out of how much I'm in love with Cake's runs. Um, but yeah, I think I was talking to Gob about it last month. Cake does not submit a bad run. Like he's not gonna submit a bad time. He's gonna submit a time he's happy with. And I think that's really cool. He reminds me of Mip Mip in that regard because Mip Mip did not submit until very late into his running career. Like he had started running offline. He was running with like the old FPS gap with DX Story without knowing that the rules were changed. And he just kept running like that until he got a really good time. He submitted it and it was rejected, and people had to launch a small investigation
I remember.
just because of how good the run is. Yeah, offline grinding is always going to be underappreciated. So, in regards to Cake winning all of the games in a row, if you're asking me how I feel about it, well, I feel that it makes sense and he deserved all of them. Um, it makes absolutely perfect sense. Like, obviously, uh, there was there were many factors that came into play, and if you look at like the top 5 runners, like obviously like this could have been anyone's tournament in the top 5. However, Cake to me personally proved that he deserved this. So that's how I feel about it. Absolutely deserved and unsurprising in my eyes after seeing him play a couple of times.
Absolutely. I think I got the pleasure to commentate a Cake match, if I'm remembering correctly. Because I remember, I think it was Cake versus Human. Um, if I remember correctly, I got to commentate, and that was such a joy to watch both runners. Speaking of commentary, though, Henrik, you obviously
Right.
just checked the schedule. Have commentated 2 matches on the final day of Glitchless. How is it for you to get to commentate such high-skilled runners? And is it ever, I guess, is there ever an anxiety going into something like that you are commentating over such a high-profile match?
Absolutely none whatsoever. All right. I should preface by saying, specifically in Glitchless A, that was still around the time when I didn't have time to watch the tournaments, and during the week I'd sometimes put them on the background while I was working on other stuff. So essentially, I came into that Sunday, March 24th, when the final few matches were held, knowing almost nothing about what had been going on in the tournament. I I one of the few times that I was able to drop by, I created the meme format apparently, which Miney helped popularize with um with Matt and Luzak, and
Zasta.
that was about it.
Zasta, yeah.
Zasta.
Zasta, sorry, I no.
It's
Me and
okay.
names. Sorry, but yeah. So that was what I. So I dropped by on. I commentated 2 matches, I believe, which was Zasta, of course, had to be against Flo, and then the losers final, which you participated in, Portal.
Yeah.
Um, which was really good fun to watch. I don't think there's a stress for me. I don't get anxiety from commentating a match that important. I just go in basically the same as Portal says he goes into every tournament. I just
Based.
have fun.
Based. Absolutely
Uh,
based.
I just
That
go to have fun, joke around,
yep.
try to do it as, in a way, a mixture of professionalism because the runners will there's a lot of people watching live already in the tournaments, and even the runners usually go back to watch their tournament runs to see, oh yeah, I really missed that cast, oh yeah I did. And if you're talking shit about them, that feels terrible.
Yep.
So we
Yeah.
don't do that here. Um, but at the same time, the only anxiety you feel while commentating is when the run's going too well. You reach a point in a run where everything so far has been going great, and you glance over at chat. You can't trust chat too often. You can't look there too often because people usually overhype everything because it's a
Yeah.
tournament. So you glance over at chat and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's on pace to be the tournament recce or something like that," and you're like, "I can't say anything because it's going to jinx the run, so I can't talk about it." But also, that's when the anxiety starts hitting. Maybe the runners sometimes even feel that themselves. Like, you usually see it on their faces when the run's going too well, and then they reach the cutscene with Tom Riddle and young Hagrid, the diary cutscene, where you have like 40 seconds to basically sit there and do nothing and think about the last few levels that you have to do. And when stuff is going too well, you can see it on their faces like, oh, hang on. When am I going to screw this one up? Because I know I'm going to screw this one up, but I just don't know when. And that face was basically present in all of the matches that I watched when people got to a certain point in the run where like, oh, only Aragog and then the Chamber one, which is a run killer left and stuff like that. And then I I commentated so losers semi-final and then the losers final, which was a best of three. Then there was a long break, and then it was the finals between Flo and
Cake.
Cake. And you saw it in Flo's face, and you can see it even while he's streaming. When he's on a run with a good pace, you can see like the stress mounting. And then you look at Cake, and he's just smiling, and you have no idea why. He should be stressed out of his mind, but he's just smiling because, oh, everything is going well. I have nothing to worry about then. And then he wins, and it's like, oh, you really had nothing to worry about then. Yeah.
When you
it was
said
great
Cake was
to watch.
smiling, I thought you were talking about gonna like joking about his avatar, because Cake's not
Yeah,
done like
Cake had no cam.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I thought you were joking about his avatar, but yeah,
no,
I
I am joking, but like
I
you
think
can see it like
Henrik's
in his
speaking
movement.
like in general.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can
You can see it in his movement. You can see that like the every time he turned the camera, the hands didn't like tremble. You didn't see the camera
Oh
tremble
no.
on the screen or
Oh
anything.
no. His movement is incredibly optimized. He's not gonna
Exactly.
get phased.
You
If
can
there's
see
something
that.
that annoys him, usually he does like the little traditional camera shake. But
Yeah,
that's usually for like a second or two of time loss. It's not good. It's never gonna be for something big, because if it's something big, then you can't afford it.
like but you start to see it's like nervous, sweaty. The hands get sweaty and everything. So sometimes those small mistakes happen just in movement. Oh, I shouldn't have jumped there or anything.
It also
And
kind of
Kate
depends who you're racing, right? Because
lives.
like, uh, yeah, because like, if you're very calm against your opponent, then sometimes like nothing phases you. I had one game during the tournament which I will never forget. It was me versus Mip Mip, which ended up being like what 3 seconds apart or something.
It
It
was
was
really
something, yeah, it was something really stupid. And the entire way through, I played that game on like complete autopilot. We were talking about something entirely unrelated. We were just just having a good laugh and talking about whatever. And then at a certain point in time, I'm like, by the way, exit Defindo at X, and he's like, oh, me too. And I'm like, do you think they're nervous? And he's like, yeah, probably.
yeah, yeah,
and then like at the end, when we both failed the 2 psycho, Mip is gonna be like, bro, you're not gonna believe this. Like we just gave them like the spectacle of a lifetime.
it was definitely a very
But yeah, we were never nervous during that run, even though we probably should have been. Because I remember telling him during the willow skip of that run, I just completely winged. I can't believe I got it, because it was just complete and utter muscle memory just carrying me through it. I completely forgot that I'm in a tournament setting. Like my mind was somewhere else entirely, sleep deprived, like 2 hours of sleep or something. And then I'm talking to Mip about like random stuff. Uh, so, uh, so
yeah
That's one of the
yeah.
things that's funny about when you're commentating a match, because we can see your faces. We have no idea what you're talking about, and sometimes you just burst out laughing, both of you at the same time, and we're like, "Oh, what happened there? That wasn't gameplay.
Yeah.
We're just telling jokes."
or like
Yeah, I mean, we have moments like that. Yeah.
It's really fun. It's
I think it happened once when I was commentating over Nixo, and I said, I can't remember what I said, but I said something like, "I wonder if Nixo is X," and then Nixo nodded, like, or like did some sort of affirming head motion, and we both just burst out laughing because it's like it's the timing of stuff like that when things just. I mean, Nixo could well have heard us through the commentary, but I believe he mutes the speakers, so he doesn't hear the commentary.
usually that. Yeah.
But yeah, like I have to agree. Like
Commentating is very fun.
like you say, Henrik, I commentated the Glitchless Speed tournament final, which was when I saw my name on that final, I'm like, oh, there was a bit of anxiety there when I first saw it, but when I got to it, I was like, this tournament's been incredible, and I thought to myself, this is perfect because last time I did a sneaky little, oh, Nixo, you're amazing at the speech at the end of the tournament, so I thought I can do another one, so I did, and I
Oh,
I made Nick so emotional. But he deserves the praise. He puts on these amazing tournaments, especially B, like I say, when he was sick. But
mhm.
I do also love when things just turn into pure chaos in commentary. Like I remember when in the Wizard tournament where Portal sorry to bring this up again, Portal, where you soft locked going into chamber and had to replay gold cards. And me and Sammy, I think it was me and Sammy commentated, we
I
lost our
played that
shit.
so wrong. You know what I should have done? I'm sorry about the tangent, but I need to say it on an official platform.
Mhm.
What past Portugal man should have done is warped out, died in Quidditch, went back to chamber. Would have saved a good like 2 minutes. More than 2 minutes.
its pets.
That's what he should have done. But what's like even more remarkable about that game is that I got a little lucky because I think Gob failed something at the end. But yeah, we were talking the entire time, and we were still like having like the time of our lives. I'm like, Gob, you're not gonna believe this, and he's like, no, you didn't, and I'm like, I did, and he's like, fuck, man. He's like, now I'm gonna feel bad, and I'm like, no, 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 don't worry, go for it, go for it. And yeah, it was a really good time. One of the reasons I sign up for basically every tournament I'm able to participate in is because of the experience you get with whoever you are racing. Because I haven't had a bad experience so far with anybody. It's always been such a good time. It doesn't matter who you're racing. It's just always like you have something to talk about, and be it stuff like, so what got you into this game? How long have you been running? What's your favorite category? What's your favorite trick? You know, stuff like that. To just like having a laugh and what do you think is the meaning of life? It can get a
Oh,
bit,
of
it can get
course.
like mega existential. Meanwhile, everyone's like sweating. Oh my god, this game is so close, and we're just chilling. You
But
know,
while
we're
we're in
just
Yeah.
two
between,
dudes.
though,
Like a
Yeah.
100 words to
Sometimes, obviously,
Wow.
we are nervous when like there's hard stuff approaching and we can't get it. But I think it's safe to say that I can speak for everyone that we don't really do it for like the competition, but rather for the experience of playing with so many people, competing with them, testing our own skill level and our own limits, which kind of is a competition in a way, but it's also like a memory you create that lasts forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I have
Like
to
But
I
yeah,
say it was
you were saying something, Miney. I interrupted you with this tangent. I'm so sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. I mean, you put me on another tangent now. Like, I might not have played in every tournament, but like ever since the start of 2023, I've been involved in every tournament, be it from a moderation side of things, be it from attempting on this little PC to restream, be it, commentating, hosting in my own tournament with Blaze, or actually running in the bingo tournament at the end of last year. Getting to be involved in some way anyway. Particularly, like, I particularly had a lot of fun with the Chungus tournament. Um, like that tournament, it compared to the other ones, because it's such a short category. Even with the best of three, it's usually very quick.
Yeah.
So you're there, done, like move on. It's like I like that flow where things keep moving, and I have a really bad habit of making cheat sheets. I made one for the bingo tournament. I don't even mod for Nixo, and Winter yelled at me, rightfully so, because I just love doing stuff like that. Like I can tell you now, I have the host sign up form for Potagon 2024 already made. It's been made for about 2 months
Nice.
because I just like being prepared. I like having that stuff, and I love like I think me, you, and Ryan got into this really good habit of like runners would start streaming. I'd grab links, pop them in the chat so commentators could see. You could grab them, Ryan could grab them, etc. And we just got into this really good flow. And I love being a part of the chain. I think for me,
Yeah.
be it in moderation, commentary, running, hosting, restreaming, whatever. I love being a part of that chain because particularly your tournaments, Paul. I haven't like done too many Nixo tournaments in terms of more actively being involved in commentary, but whenever I do like your tournaments, particularly with Chungus, like I say, they're just a riot and so much fun to be a part of, and just a joy to get to experience firsthand as I did for Chungus. So thank you
Oh
for
yeah, thank you, thank you.
allowing me to be in such a position.
I really do appreciate everything you do, because what you do is also underappreciated, but that's another rant on its own. It's just moderators during tournaments. They do a lot. Um,
Yeah.
but stressful moments like that, like me soft locking. Well, it's not even a soft lock. That's what bugs me about it. But yeah, so like locking in all wizard cards. It's stuff like that that is finally gonna get you nervous in a run. Uh, but yeah, I can imagine like some crazy stuff going through your head at the time. It's crazy. I
Yeah.
can't believe it.
I You mentioned moderators. I do just want to give a quick shout out to Winter,
Oh,
who
of course.
is East Coast US time zone. She is Canadian, but she's on the same time zone as East Coast US. I do believe. Henrik, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, she should.
Yeah.
But Winter, of course, the tournaments, particularly Glitchless, started very early in the morning for her. So like she was up constantly, really early, and she would never complain. She would,
Yeah.
she was. That I think deserves a lot of appreciation because I think a lot of Nix's mod team is European, whereas Winter is North American, and she is one of those people that I feel like every day I go in and she'd be there. I mean, already got obviously they already set everything up for the night before, but starting the prediction and doing everything, and just making it so that you as the restreamer don't have to worry, and as someone who has done restream for a day and it went very badly wrong, it's nice to have people that can take that weight off of you. So that's one less thing for you to have to worry about because you want to give your runners, your commentators, the promotion they deserve because they are amazing people. I guess. Yeah. By the way, sign up for Warpless, guys.
Oh,
No
yeah.
thanks.
We need more people.
No,
Indeed.
thank you.
Yes.
Nickie, to
I
sort
would
of.
like to have my sanity.
No.
Oh, this is perfect timing,
Come
actually,
on,
Nickie,
Nick.
to
It's gonna be fun.
bring you back
You're
into the
gonna have a good laugh.
conversation.
Yes, totally.
I'm curious to ask
You
you,
are all
Nickie.
gonna have a good laugh at me. That's what's gonna happen.
I mean, that's what I said, though, right? You're gonna have a good laugh. I mean,
Everyone
No,
is going to have a good laugh.
everybody's gonna
Including
have a good
you.
laugh, except for me.
No,
Come on, Nick. You playing HP2 is my favorite content on the platform.
That's hilarious.
All right. So
Go
my
ahead, Miney.
question,
You wanna
my
ask me
qu-
something?
like we've talked obviously about Portal, who is someone who signs up for pretty much every tournament, and we spoke. I think I can't remember where it came up, but Flo mentioned he will sign up for every tournament. It was in Insiders, I think, where he said he will sign up for every single tournament, no matter what.
Yeah.
What for you, Nickie? Because you're obviously someone who is a bit more selective with the tournaments they sign up for. What to you says I'm going to sign up for this versus nah, you can do one.
It's mainly the game, right? For me,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really mind watching HP2, but playing it requires
Isn't it? Isn't it?
it requires some mental fortitude that I do not possess, sadly. I don't know. I don't think I've ever denied this either. I just like to call HP2 bad instead of being like, oh yeah, maybe it's just me, you know.
Does it even have to be you? If you don't have like an appeal towards a game, then you simply don't have an appeal towards a game. Like not every speed game is gonna resonate well with everybody,
I
right?
try to get everyone to play 5 GBA, but I understand that it's a dumb category.
Dude,
I'm not like I don't know. Like it mainly it also has to do with like uh who's throwing the tournament. I think for me personally, I don't think I would have otherwise played
Hosting.
Chungus for Portal.
I was shocked when you said yes, and it was also the sweetest moment in my life.
I was like, sure, what the fuck not, dude? Like, whatever, man. And I learned it, and I have like a 10-minute and like 42-second time, I think, on the leaderboard, and that's where it'll stay for now until eternity.
Yeah,
Until
which
the
is a pretty
next
good time.
tournament, you mean?
We don't know if there will be a next tournament.
But yeah, we've seen definitely that there's definitely games and categories of those games that I'm
What about other games,
feeling
Nick?
in for.
Are there like
Yeah,
other
I'm more
games that...
interested. I'm more interested in hosting tournaments for other games. That's what I like.
Yeah.
My interests. Like I like HP and I like to talk about it, but in terms of like speedrunning, like I don't really run a whole lot of HP games. I run other games, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my experiences lie. And I think there's like very underrated speed games that deserve a lot more attention, and I think that attention could be gotten with tournaments.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
I find, for
tournaments,
example, 2GB
tournaments like raise the attention to a category and end the speed game by so much. Like, why do you think Chungus has like fucking 43 runs on the board? Is it because it's a good run? No, it's not because it's a good run. It's because everyone was fucking playing it, and when everyone's playing it, then there's exposure, and when there's exposure, people say, "Oh, I want to try this." Like, why is everyone playing this one thing? And then they play the one thing, and then it's kind of like a chain reaction. But yeah, like you mentioned like playing other games. Like even I recently watched an old Tavin PB in which you were playing like a different game. I think you were, can't remember what it was, but James Bond. They have one of the
Was it Quantum
probably,
of Solace?
yeah,
Probably Quantum.
probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the only James Bond game I've played.
Yeah, and it was just so wholesome to just listen to, and obviously like you're a multiple times world record holder of The Godfather, um,
Yeah.
and other games as well. Like you play Wings Club, uh, you play a lot of stuff.
I've played a lot of stuff. I
Yeah,
gotta say it's been slowing down in the past. I've
yeah.
been losing motivation for speedrunning mainly because uh I've been starting a new job and leaving my other job, and I've been working for the past 6 months, and like a lot
Ooh,
of adult
IRL.
stuff in my life is happening.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of adult stuff in my life is happening, so I can only realistically like focus on a couple of things. And now it's recaps and the Harry Potter card game.
we're very happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Do you think then, to sort of touch back to what you were saying about wanting to host tournaments, do you think that's sort of where your big sort of drive for Saturday Showcase came from? Because I think the cool thing about Saturday
Yeah,
Showcase is we can have like those smaller tournaments that might not, for want of a better word, justify a normal tournament, whatever that means, but
I
can
could
sit
do
on
my
a
All Crests Invitational during Showcase Saturday.
yeah, like you can have like stuff that might not fit a conventional tournament, but can have a place on this, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, for example, single races between runners, which I think is a really cool idea.
Yeah, we need Glendo.
That could be a
Someone
thing.
needs to
Yeah.
submit Glendo. Not enough Glendo
Um,
recognition in this
No,
community.
I
no,
think
no one needs to submit Glundo. No.
So when are we
I
having
got
the
a
5
couple of
GBAs tournament?
I got a couple of night shifts coming up this week. So during then I might start making I might like make a forum for submissions for Saturday Showcase or Showcase Saturday. It's one or the other. I think I
Either or.
even mixed them up in the recap.
Yeah. Um, but I do want to quickly whiz back to what Paul said about the exposure from a tournament. Like, I think me and Blaze were talking about this, but like HB4 has gone on such a development in the past like year from the game it used to be, and now with Blaze and Human and many other runners digging into the game, it's kind of changed very much from this game that a lot of people hate to a game that some people hate. I wouldn't say it's universally loved, but I think the tournament was a big part of
I
that.
don't think there's any game which is universally loved.
Yeah, I mean, just look at 2PC.
To
Even Nicki
quote
hates
one
it.
of my very good friends, Victor, Portal, what did we do to deserve this? I thought we were friends. Why did you make me play this? This was terrible. Probably the worst game I've ever played. End quote.
I dipped in and out of that stream. It was amazing.
How many friends do you still have, Portal?
Well, at least -2.
I
But
think
yeah, I think it's really cool, like you say, to have that exposure during a tournament. But to swing this back from general tournaments specifically to the Glitchless A tournament, I'm gonna throw this out there just for anyone to talk about because I think it's exciting. It was a super crazy thing. Nixo and Human tying to the second. How did we all feel when that happened?
What was it, like a 0.3 difference? Would Human won
Something
by?
really small, yeah.
Yeah, 21 frames should be roughly 0.3, which is huge in Chungus, by the way. But yeah.
at least we didn't have to go through the rock paper scissors strat of 2022.
Oh yeah.
Where Flo was to lose out.
So I don't remember the specifics of that game, but I think both of them made at least one major mistake each, which caused that to happen. It was one of the craziest. Well, we haven't seen anything like this since Flo and Luzak. It's obviously like such an unlikely thing to happen that you know, you don't really know how to prepare for it. Like Nixo was visibly annoyed that Human's timer didn't stop, but at the same time, like, you gotta keep in mind it's you don't really expect two runners of their caliber to tie to the second. So big shout outs to Mark first of all, because he timed it manually. Which, you know,
Takes a
it's
long while.
yeah, it takes a bit of effort, and he didn't have to do it, and it wasn't exactly decided what is to be done in the case of a tie. But I think it was one of the coolest games of the tournament. One, because it happened, and two, because it showed us that even top runners are capable of making big mistakes, right? And yeah, I don't have like the run like one for one, but like Tedder was very impressed by the run. I think he mentioned that at one point Nixo had lost 3 seconds in like an earlier room or something by playing it safe, and if he hadn't done that, then he would have won. Obviously, like it's very easy to go, well, if you had done this, then the outcome would have been like completely different. In that game, though, like that game is like so different because even the leaderboard does not like care about milliseconds
No. You
yet.
just get the tie.
Yeah, it doesn't care about milliseconds yet. We might get to a point where top times do matter, but we're not even close to that point, luckily, right now. And like I don't know, it was like the way it was resolved was I found that like a lot of people felt like uncomfortable about it, but at the end of the day, like what do you do in that situation? Like obviously like you have to retime and check the milliseconds because there's nothing else you can really do. um and of course, like big shout outs to the two runners who finished the runs, even though it was definitely like probably really stressful for them. Like Nixo had no sound. Let's keep that in mind. He plays all of his games without sound, which sounds like, what does that even matter? Well, I personally use a lot of sound cues in HP2. Maybe he doesn't, but I do. And I find playing without sound a lot harder. Like, how do I know if the crab went in the cage in Bicorn? How do I know if the door closed behind me? How do I know like when to time my jump when like the Richter Sempra gate is opening? Or how do I know like so many other things? So Nixa was playing with like an obvious like disadvantage of like not having sound, worrying about whether or not everything is streaming and set up correctly, uh, not having the ability to speak to his opponent. And then Human was in a similar situation in that he had completely no idea what his opponent was doing or where he was or whether or not he was ahead. In fact, I'm pretty sure like by the end he was like willing to even give the game to Nixo due to his timer not stopping, which is very admirable, by the way. Um, and yeah, they were like in a similar spot of like blindness almost towards like each other's actions. So that leads you to just like question: did they even know that it was this close? Did they even know that like one small mistake or playing it safe would have made like would have turned the entire match around? It's fascinating to think about because normally in a post game interview, you can talk to the runners about their experiences with the game. However, with Human and Nick, so it's very different because they obviously didn't talk to each other. It's likely they didn't have each other's point of view open, so they wouldn't know. So it's possible that they just just kind of winged it, and it's very interesting as a result. Obviously, like there's probably a lot to talk about that game, but I can't remember the specifics right now. In like what happened and what didn't, like what tricks were failed and what weren't. Um, but yeah, at the end, Snake was the decider, which I always hated when the Basilisk fight is the deciding factor because the Basilisk fight is RNG. And before anyone's like, but Portal, you're coping, no. Whether or not you get a double hit, yes, you can time the first two. We don't know to what consistency yet, but everything else, the poison spewage, the random snipes, the extra double hits, all of that is random. Sure, 2 Psycho is free for anyone that knows what they're doing. But that doesn't mean that in a tournament setting it's like not practically RNG. So to me, that match was evenly matched. That match was a tie because both of them demonstrated like similar skill levels and a level of impressive gameplay with like blindness involved. Because I've been in humans' shoes where my opponent didn't speak to me in one of the tournaments, so I had no idea where they are. I had no idea what they were doing. I had no idea like about anything at all, and had to play without talk, which sucks, by the way. It sucks
Yeah, that's
playing without
annoying.
having someone to talk to, because that's the experience they're going for, right? Like to have fun. How am I supposed to meme and have fun when there's no one to meme and have fun with? You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, big shout outs to the runners in that regard. Impressive game.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have anything to add about the tie?
I think Puzzle said it all.
Yeah, pretty sure everything's been said, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Puzzle.
So talking about memes and having fun and everything. I just wanna
Anything can happen.
in Glitchless.
Crunch.
There's a reason why Forgetful's name in the PC server is Bart Simpson. Anyway, um, so I wanted to ask you, Paul. Like, obviously, you are a connoisseur of memes within runs. For example, the Mopsus card and the
What are you
Southern
talking about?
Bridge thing that he did during the run I commentated over. Um, and obviously that sometimes gets a certain reaction in chat. Like some people, obviously people are confused. People question if it's fair, respectful, etc., etc. Like, what? Why do you love doing stuff like that? And what do you have to say to people that might say it's not a good thing to do?
Um, I've never been asked this directly before, but what I will usually say is whatever the runners do in their respective races is entirely up to the runners themselves. Whatever they want to, this is their run, right? Like,
Yeah.
for example, Dr. Cass collected 11 wizard cards, right? He didn't have to do it. Like, he didn't do it to look weird, right? He did it because he wanted to do it, and he did do it. I try to have my games be as entertaining as possible. I also try to play them as fairly as possible. And basically, when it does matter and it is required for me to take a game seriously, like obviously it doesn't look like it, but I take every single matchup I have absolutely seriously. Like, I know people are banking on me to win some of the games that I'm part of, and I try my best to win. But if I'm going to win in a tournament matchup, I'm gonna do it on my own terms. And I personally don't believe that everyone should follow the exact same route every time just because it's fast. I think that's kind of cringe. Let me play the game however I want to play the game. Um, and in regards to like all of the extra stuff you mentioned, like fixing the bridge and like mobsters, it's really fun to have stuff to show off that people don't see regularly all the time, and it's fun for them to question it, because then that makes them interact with chat and go, what are these people doing, why are they doing this, and then have it be explained to them. I think even that just adds to the overall experience of the tournament, by providing a little bit of flavor and variety, which is very needed sometimes in a competitive setting. Because the moment we start taking something too seriously is the moment we become uh, like the fucking an esport or something, which is not what I interpret this game as a speed game to be. I know there's people that greatly disagree with me here. There's going to be people that are going to be all about the competition, and that's absolutely fine. I am in it to have the time of my life, and I don't think I've had a bad tournament experience so far, like I said. So the reason I do all the memes, it's one, to entertain people, two, to show off stuff that not everybody's gonna expect or know, and three, because if I end up at a disadvantage, then that only has a repercussion on my own race at the time. It doesn't affect my opponent in any way. Obviously, sometimes we had like agreements, like me and Mip playing on one fatness, right? Or us agreeing to grab the Mobsters card, but that's just funny. That's that's exciting. And when both do it and it doesn't lose time, then why not? It doesn't affect the competition in any meaningful manner. Um, I thought the little stuff we did was really cool. And there were other people that did a lot of cool stuff as well. I was a really big fan of Cass's run, for example. And I know not everyone is going to be, but the dude collected 11 wizard cards and still won the game. That's impressive. That is incredibly impressive. The only person that lost time to it and got punished for it was he himself as the runner. Saku played brilliantly, but Saku played the game normally. He did not do what Cass was doing. So the match wasn't impacted in any meaningful way. He showed that he was capable of winning with or without collecting these cards, and he, at the end of the day, collected them because not because he wanted to be cheesy or arrogant or whatever. He did it because he wanted to be entertaining and because he didn't expect to win in the first place. He did it because he wanted to have fun. And at the end of the day, that's why I joined a tournament. So to anyone that questions my meme nature, that's just who I am. I enjoy making fun of the video games that I play, and I enjoy making fun of myself as the player who plays them video games.
Yep.
That's about it.
Sounds accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
sounds like what it's supposed to be like to me.
Yeah, I think, like you say, you want to talk about having a fun time and just enjoying yourself. And, as long as the tournament host, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't mind it, and, if they do, be surprising, you know, like, I think you have a fun time. And, like you say, that's what you do. Speaking of fun times, though, we've got to talk about, we can't talk about the Glitchless tournaments and not talk about a certain, chocolatey friend, Mr. Frog. You have
Okay.
alerted the frog, which I have to say, when I rendered out the text to speech, like dialogue for the meme section, when the TTS guy is like, "You have alerted the frog," like I died laughing. I don't know why. I just found that specific bit really funny. But so yeah, um, Portal. I feel like I'm coming to you a lot for this one, but you are the man of
Excellent.
all the
Hilarious.
knowledge. Um, talk to us about, I guess, how Frogstrat was found and its eventual development into the tournament, if you wouldn't mind.
Uh,
In 1,000
how
words.
it was found. So it was cake, obviously. It was a year ago. It's not a new strategy. I'm sick and tired of people calling it a new strat. It's a year old at this point.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that
When
I think that I accurately reflected that in the recap,
yeah,
didn't I? Portal?
yeah, it was. I really appreciated that segment, by the way. So thank you for that. Um, so a year ago, Cake, and this is by his own words. He was like, there has to be a way to climb up that window without glitches. Mushroom stacking is a thing, but the door needs to stay open if I want to mushroom stack. Let's try it with a snail. Okay, it's enough because you can pause cast the snail on top of like the mover to kind of like block the gate. Wait, there's also a frog there, and so on. And obviously, like a lot of trial and error and save states and hours of testing, and eventually it worked, and he was very hyped about it. And when it did work, he started working on getting consistent at it. And if you open that run, which is the 45-15, which by the way, that run is remarkable. It's almost as good as Mip's run in terms of like gameplay. Obviously, Mip's run is a little better, but that run, what it did was like, okay, so we can skip the level now. Let's perform it in a run. Before that, the Defendo skip that we would have opted to go for, very likely, was the Ratburn Pixie Ride, right? Or the one that Max G found years ago. That to this day, Ratburn's the only one that has ever done in a run. And people forget this a lot, but everyone's like, yeah, that never made it to the leaderboard. Yes, it did. Ratburn did it. Like, it doesn't matter that he's like, what, 80 something plays on the board. Um, oh, it's 102nd place, 58-13, and the description is fastest glitchless Defendo split ever performed XDD.
XDD.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then yeah, so no one wanted to attempt the thing that Cake did for a variety of reasons. One, the only reference point we had of a Defendo skip before that was the Pixie Ride that Ratburn did, which is, take my word for it, a lot worse and also slower. But it's a lot more difficult. It's insanely hard. And as a reference point, that's terrible. And the second reason is, holy crap, that looks insane, right? Like, that looks so difficult. Why would I spend so much time trying to learn it? And so on and so forth. And at the time, a lot of people thought that the category wouldn't be touched anymore because of that. And for roughly 11 months, that prophecy was completely true. Now, I do know for a fact that there's been a couple of runners that have dabbled with the Defendo skip that Cake performed before me. Most notably, there is Gob, who definitely got it a couple of times in practice. So Gob was someone who was to me a big inspiration to give it a go, because he told me that he was getting consistent at it. And I'm like, okay, well, how consistent can it be? And then one day, I don't remember what the context was. I wanted to meme, of course. Yeah. Okay. So the context was, I was supposed to learn the strategy in secret and then do it in the tournament as a meme. But then I'll get into how difficult it was to replicate in a second, but then when I actually did learn it, and could do it in runs and could go for it, I'm like, okay, well, I have to stream with this because this is just too much fun to do. It ended up becoming one of the most, how should I say this, satisfying and rewarding tricks I've ever learned, because Defendo is everybody's least favorite level in Glitchless. Nobody likes Defendo because it's long, it forces you to play perfectly for 2.5 minutes, and it's just boring, it's bad, there's pixies, there's mushrooms, there's bow truckle, it's just not a good level.
Yep.
And there's like it's no it's not surprising at all that for a very long time the OG Defendo skip, so to call it, was so impressive to people. It's because everyone wanted to skip that level. Just look at Defendo in any category, including 100%. Defendo as a level is almost unrecognizable in speedruns just because everyone wants to skip it. Right? Every category like skips it in some way, or at least parts of it. And to to a big degree, that's kind of the thing that motivated me to learn it. Now, in terms of like the process of learning it, it was terrible because I had nothing to go by. I had one run and one IL. That's it. The individual level record and Cakes PB. And Cakes PB, um to his like what's the word? Yeah, credit, to his credit, he did leave instructions on how to do the strat in the description, but written instructions are simply not enough for something like this, at least for me. So I spent a good, I want to say 5 or 6 hours trying to replicate it. It was a long time before I even got it once. First of all, I used to think frog movement was completely RNG. I didn't know you can actually control the direction in which a chocolate frog moves. If I knew that a while ago, then I would have optimized my frog pickups ages ago in the game, but I didn't. So yeah, that was a big part of like the learning curve, was learning to control the chocolate frog. And the second part, which I struggled with the most, and I think a lot of people struggled as well, is getting the snail on top of the frog. That takes a lot of practice because there's basically only like just one position of the snail that works, which is you want the snail to be right underneath the save book, because there's luckily a save book there, and you want this you want the snail to be there or a little lower so you can push it like accurately on top of the frog. Because if it's a bit further up, which is what I was doing wrong, and then you push it, you're gonna over push it, for example, or the frog is gonna lose you. I guess I should explain what frog losing you means. The way the chocolate frog works is when it initially detects Harry, it's going to perform 3 long jumps, which are like, I have the yards somewhere, but I forgot what they were, in the opposite direction from the one you're approaching. So Harry approaches from the left, frog is going to do 3 long jumps to the right for each time it detects Harry approaching. And after that, it's going to transition into small jumps, very, very tiny jumps, which are, it's the frog basically saying, okay, I've dodged you, I've annoyed you, you can pick me up now, okay? So the frog has the intention of getting eaten. However, the frog still continues to move with these small hops, and you can still control it because it's still technically dodging you, but it's dodging you at such a slow speed that it doesn't dodge you like effectively. And then once the frog loses you again, which is from you either standing still or it loses you from its sight, or you basically stop approaching the frog. The moment you stop approaching the frog for a given amount of time, which I found is like up to 3 seconds, according to Ratburn, the frog will perform 1 long jump towards its spawn point, a random location to its spawn point. And as far as we can tell, that jump, it can be any velocity, any height, as long as it can just reach its spawn. It's gonna try to do like a huge jump.
I mean, just
Which
look
is why
at
something.
Goyle in the bit before by the elevator. when they fall
Yeah,
down
yeah,
there.
that's
where you can
that's a very
jump
good that's a very
into
good
the carpet.
example. Like if the frogs dodge you down there, and that's probably one of the reasons why that's even a mechanic, is stuff like that can happen in Bicorn and Goyle, right? And then the frog is gonna jump back up towards its spawn. And during that jump back, and that's actually pretty important, you cannot influence the frog's movement in any way. So if you're in his way, you're just gonna nibble on him. Um, you're not gonna be able to make a move. During that jump, even his collision acts differently. It's just stuff can phase through the frog. It's really weird. Um, but yeah, what the entire process is of blocking the mover, which is 70% of the strategy done, is make the frog move 3 times for like the 3 initial long jumps, position it at the lit up area of the car at the edge of the carpet, have the snail under the safe book beforehand, then with one swift movement, and you must not stop, because if you stop at any point, the frog will lose you. With one swift movement, go behind the snail and then push it and hold it forward, and that way the frog will not have lost you. And from there, it's simply a matter of manipulating the frog to uh, all the way to the left mover, because the snail needs to be facing the mover for it to be blocked, and then jumping back on the slope and activating a trigger that closes the door. And you have to do that within 3 seconds, because if you don't, then the frog's just going to jump back to its spawn. And that's the part that was incredibly difficult. That's the part that took everyone a year to learn. We simply did not have a clear enough understanding of how the strategy works and how to replicate it. And it did take a while to replicate, but I did replicate it, and then I started grinding with it, and then
A lot of other people did too.
yeah, I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, the shroom stack method saves like a little over a minute to regular Defendo, which a minute of time save is pretty huge in Glitchless. So yeah, the 2016 80% would have loved that strategy, by the way. It's just they wanted a way to skip it. It's hilariously enough even faster than the OG Defendo skip, where they relied on like an RNG boost into a clip. But yeah, it's just I'm very not surprised that this wasn't found, but at the same time, kind of shocked that Cake found it in the first place, because Cake's problem-solving skills are amazing when it comes to these games. We also gotta give him a lot of credit on finding a lot of strategies in HP1 as well. He found like a 15-second time save in 180%, which is insane. He also skips the cast. He also found like a faster. He found basic cast tech. He found cast tech in HP1, which is a 23-year-old game. That's ridiculous. How do you find new tech in a 23-year-old game? Where if you like turn the cast, it increases like the range of your cast and whatnot. And yeah, Cake found that, and then he found a way to skip Defendo, which people have been trying to solve basically since the speedrun's inception. But yeah, with the shroom stack method, which it's very simple. You take 3 of the mushrooms, preferably the bigger ones, and then you stack them on top of this one pot. Before that, you're gonna make 2 extra potions by grabbing ingredients from Bicorn and Snape's office, and bada bing, bada boom, you stack, you're good to go, right? So the moment I got this in a run, I'm like, okay, well, I want to grind with this. I want to learn the difficult version. Now, what is actually new about the strategy is what Ratburn and Human found, which, by the way, is also new tech, but for HP2, for example, for example, you can take the moving platform boost at the Grand Staircase as like an example. Dumbledore skip is a moving platform boost jump, right? Well, mushrooms are a moving platform. In a sense, you throw them, they move, they have collision, you can stand on them, right? Well, Human found that you can skip the shroom stack in Boomslang by simply getting a mushroom, and then jumping on top of a tentacular, and then jumping on top of the bouncing mushroom to then just jump over for the end of Boomslang. And Ratburn was like, wait, can't you just do this in Defendo with like the cake thing? And Cake was like, holy shit, you're right. And then Cake did the IL. So that was even harder because the only thing I had was the IL. But at least now I had like 3 videos of like Cake performing the frog strategy, and my setup was really scuffed. I was doing it incredibly incorrectly at first. I did talk to him about it, but eventually people started watching, and I believe Zasta was the first one to be interested in it, and he was like, I can't believe you're going for this. This is so cool, blah blah blah. And then he also learned it. We were on VC when he got it for the first time, and he was like, dude, that's so rewarding. I'm like, I know, everyone should go for this, blah blah blah. And then after that, after that, it kind of happened all in a row. Taught MipMip how to do it, taught Flow how to do it, taught Human how to do it. All in VC, of course. Obviously, like, their credit is their own for like practicing it and everything. Like that's 100% all them. But Human did ask for help, and I'm like, sure. And Flow, I wanted to show it to Flow because I wanted to prove that it's like not an RNG strategy that's actually viable for tournaments. And look where he's at now. He has record. So very happy with that overall. And yeah, after I got the little shroom bounce down, I started grinding with the strategy, and I did it in a run. Admittedly, it was a run that's pretty bad for my current skill level, but it's a run. It's out there. It's currently 4th. 2 weeks ago, it was 2nd place by like 7 seconds. So very happy with the overall time, and I'll probably return to it at some point. But um, you wanted me to break down the strategy, right? Like how that works, or was there like any specific question you wanted to ask me about it?
That's pretty in depth breakdown. When did Artful's innovation come? Was that in March, or did that?
That
come
was
in
like
April?
last week, I think. It was very
Was that
recent.
only last week?
I'm not sure because he said he posted on Discord, but I never saw it, so it could have been earlier.
Hang
But
on,
yeah,
listeners. I will double check.
okay, so a little bit. I actually have like splits that compare like the 3. A 3-minute flat is what I got with the shroom stack, which in comparison, a regular defender would be like a 420, so like a minute and 20 seconds faster. And then 245 is what I got with the gnome, but that's with mistakes, and that's like 15 seconds faster. And then 2 minutes and 5 seconds is with the shroom bounce off the snail. But yeah, I guess I should explain like the gnome variant. You take the gnome from like the room with the mushrooms. You get a ledge grab at like the little ledge where we do the warpless boost at the end. You take a mushroom, you drop it on top of the gnome with the potion, and then you jump on the mushroom, and then you jump over. Same principle really as like the snail boost, but way easier, and also unfortunately quite a bit slower, but still faster than the shroom stack for anyone that wants to go for it.
Interesting. And yeah, I've just checked. It was the 27th of March was when Apple posted the strat into the Discord. So it was in fact in March. So we are legally it's like I'm being held to some laws or something, but no, we are legally allowed to talk about it in this recap rewind.
Yeah, I was very excited for it.
Yeah, it's super cool to see, and it's cool to see like the strat develop, as you say, because I wasn't actually aware that it was an older strat. So to see it grow and develop over the past year or
oh, it had been in the record for a year. By the time so many people adopted it, it's just the fact that nobody wanted to bother to learn it And then during my grind, which was an incredibly painful grind, by the way, and will forever remain completely irrelevant, one of the main things I complained about is that we simply do not have a good enough understanding of it right now. And by we, I was mostly referring to myself because obviously no one else was doing it. But it was clear that, like, even Cake, we were clearly doing something wrong because, like, there's some segments during that strategy that appear completely RNG. Like, why does the frog jump back? Obviously, there's like the timer rule, but sometimes it just seems to happen anyway, which indicates that we're probably doing something wrong, except we shouldn't be, because with a save state, it yields like different results. And then there's also the shroom bounce on top of the snail. Like, what influences how high or fast the shroom bounces? Well, it's obviously the height that it's being dropped from. Well, how do I make sure that that height is like good enough for me to make it up where the ledge is, but also not high enough for me to, not be able to get on the mushroom? You know what I mean? Or just kind of like boost me in the wrong direction. So yeah, we definitely needed more people dabbling with it. What I can say with clear confidence is that what used to be difficult is not anymore. What used to be difficult was getting the snail on top of the frog. What used to be difficult was blocking the mover. What used to be difficult was having a setup for like the shroom bounce that kind of like all of us use. But now we have safe setups for everything pretty much, for catching the snail cycle, the first snail cycle, for catching the second snail cycle for the boost threat, for skipping it entirely and going with the gnome, still going for a shroom boost, albeit a little bit slower, but one that is not nearly as risky and almost equally as rewarding. We understand the stack better. We know where to get the fastest ingredients. We know which ingredients are the fastest ingredients. We know so much more right now than was known back then. We know when it's faster to brew a second potion. There's just so much that we know now. And yeah, all that is because so many people adopted the strat and started playing around with it. And for example, Flo was the one who found the fastest cycle you can possibly get to make sure you always get like a fast second snail, which is insanely huge. Like, if you check Flo and Humans runs, like that particular cycle is in there. The setup I show in my tutorial is completely different, and it is beginner friendly. It's albeit a little older, but Flo found consistent time save, and that only happened because he learned it and he grinded with it. And I just want to go ahead and mention that 3 weeks ago he was never in a million years gonna go for this. It was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're also like at the point of like the glitchless leaderboard where, okay, well, you want top 5, you kind of need to go for it. Well,
Yeah.
not kind of, you basically
You
have to
need
go for it.
yeah.
Yeah, you basically need to go for it. Unless you're banking on beating Mitmip's run, which is not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Yeah, absolutely fair. Obviously we talk about this coming to the tournament, and I'm gonna bring this question to Nickie and Henrriik to give for a little break before we delve into some Lowcast for a little bit, because we have been going for a little bit, so I'm conscious of people's schedules. Henrriik and Nickie, obviously you both commentated some runs in Glitchless A. What is it like for you as a commentator? Because obviously, from my experience as a commentator, it could be different for you guys. I wasn't generally given an indication if the runners were going to go for it. Like, you can make an assumption based on who it is, but you never really knew, at least for me, who if the runner was
And
going to go for it.
also based on the ingredients that they pick up.
Yeah,
If they pick
but
up any
how was that
ingredients.
for you as a commentary addition, I guess, to almost have to guess like, ooh, it's well, obviously if you have Paul, you know he's going to go for it, but say Flo, Zasta, etc.
Flo debated me. I remember that. Flo actually baited me so hard.
Yeah, Beaver as well.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun, I think. Trying to guess if people would frog or not frog.
I still
Uh,
maintain what I said in the Glitchless speed commentary, the fact that we've got frogging in Javindo and then we deal with magic mushrooms in Boomslang. Like, what is this game
Frogging.
all about? Like,
I really
Right.
like it, honestly. I like as for your question, like uh so I didn't really know how it worked. And I don't really remember the matches I commentated, but like it was fun to talk about it, and it gave like a fun like it was like a fun point of discussion for the tournament as well. I feel like as well because there was like the a bit of controversy with it, like oh they got found just before the tournament, like that's lame. If your opponent is gonna go for it, um, like if your opponent is gonna go for it and you don't know it, like that's kind of lame because it just saves minutes and then it's not even close. But honestly, I feel like that's a defeatist thing to say. I mean, I probably would say the same thing if I were in some people's shoes, but at the same time, it's a tournament. Point is to win. So, yeah.
yeah, I
I feel like
mean, there's
the fun. It was fun that yeah, as Nikki said, the strats was already an old one. It just got perfected over time, as Portal was explaining. But um, given that it was brought to light so recently, there were a lot of people that couldn't, for one reason or another, even practice the strats and get it consistently before the tournament even began. So I think that the runners agreeing beforehand, like, oh, I'm gonna go for it, and the other being like, oh yeah, I'm going for it too. All right, we're both gonna go for it, and agreeing whether they went for it or not, given the context specifically, and to preserve integrity, fun, circling back to fun. It's really important that everyone just had fun in the tournament. Um, I think it was really cool, and of course for us commentators, we didn't know whether they were going to go for it or not because we usually didn't talk about this. So when we joined the well, when we were watching the run, we found out if they were going to go frogging or not. Uh, Basically at the same time as the viewers, so that was fun.
yeah. I think you mentioned like the controversy about it being allowed and people like saying it shouldn't be. I think the issue is that conversation came from their side at the wrong time, and I say that because that massive like I feel like original like debate happened after weekend one. Whereas if you had a bandit at that point, what do you do about the runs from weekend one which had it? It's if it was going to be a conversation, I think it needed to be before the tournament. Having it
Yeah, it
after the
needed to
first
be had before,
weekend,
exactly.
it would
To
then
be
be weird
fair,
to ban it.
did anyone even expect so many people to learn it in the
No,
first place?
exactly.
And so here's why I think that disallowing it is bullshit. This conversation was, and I have very strong opinions on this. This conversation was had a year ago, and a year ago it was decided that it will be allowed on the boards after a very heated discussion, uh, in which I myself also participated. And after that discussion, it was decided that the strategy is to stay on the leaderboard. If it is allowed on the leaderboard, then as such, I see absolutely no reason whatsoever why it shouldn't be allowed in the tournament. And if it was disallowed beforehand, I personally would not have joined because that limits the player's possibilities, right? Like, what if I had spent the time to learn it? What if others had spent time to learn it? This is like at that point, it damages the integrity of the category because why are we skipping a strategy that's in the world record? Well, because it's hard. Well, yes, because but it has an RNG element. Well, yeah, but no, no, all of that is bullshit. All of that is not a valid argument simply because if someone spends the time and the effort to learn it, and I've put a lot of emphasis on my respect for time and effort should be respected. Time and effort should stay, and the time and effort to learn a strategy should be in it. Uh, Now, on the other hand, I also agree with the idea, and this circles back to my original point of it's up to the runners what their run looks like and what they do. So the competitors having different agreements and agreeing on whether or not to go for strategies should totally be a thing. It's and like it's because they're the ones playing, they're the ones racing, they're the ones that have to be comfortable with each other, have to like make sure that they perform the best they possibly can. And we even had like some conversations on skipping chamber jump, for example. We had some conversation on skipping other strategies. Mip and I skipped bridge skip.
Oh, yeah.
Not because we can't do it, but because we agreed that it would be funnier to fix the bridge. And agreements like that should always be welcome in tournaments, because it's just, this is not something professional that's like for money. This is something that we do for fun, and if the other person is not gonna have fun when you try hard and perform like a crazy strat, of course I'm not gonna try hard and perform a crazy strat. Like I wouldn't do it against someone who was like, "Yo, Portal, can you not go for this?" Which at the same time they're obviously like not obliged to. I could just ask, "Yo, do you know this?" And if they're like, "No," and I can be like, "Okay, well then I'm not going to go for this." Now, me versus Jessica was a different case. She actually encouraged me to go for it because she wanted to see if I can fail it, if she can catch up. But then, unfortunately, I ended up getting it first try because that's just how the strategy works. And yeah, that is
Anything can happen in Glitchless.
yeah, that's copium. That's that's my opinion on the matter. I have pretty strong opinions. Don't disallow strategies. That's weird. Like limiting RNG is okay and all, but um, this was allowed a year ago, and uh, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say any names, but the people involved that questioned the legitimacy of the strategy said nothing a year ago. And that to me was like very painful because I had spent so much time and all of a sudden they were like, "Yo, Portal, stop going for this." Or at least that's how it felt like. Um and yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much. All right. So I am aware of time, so we're gonna talk about Lowcast, but Portal, because I feel like you could yabber on about Lowcast for years because of your passion for it. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer on my phone. So instead of 2
When you
sentences,
hear the ring,
you have
uh,
5 minutes
you need to
to
close.
I guess touch upon briefly your feelings regarding Ratburn's incredible 61 cast run, because I do expect you will at some
51.
point do. Oh, so I say 61. Sorry. I do expect at some point, knowing you will at some point do an actual video essay, like breakdown of the entire run. I could see you doing that.
Lowcast will get a history of its own, one that I'm, as you said, very passionate on and working on.
Okay,
Um
I will start the timer now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you expect me to touch on because I I
Whatever
actually
you want.
expected questions, but okay, well, notable stuff that happened. People
Okay,
look,
so
yep,
maybe I should just ask you some questions then.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Um,
works.
so what was the So I think I may have gotten it wrong in the recap. Like I said, there were two strats in Goyle that were found, and then I think it was one in Aragog, but apparently it's Forest. Like, could you maybe go over that
Uh,
quickly first? Like,
so
what was exactly found that
I'm
put the record at 51 now?
In terms of the month involved, I'm not sure. However, what's definitely new is the clip into Wall Walking Forest. That was not a thing before. And the second thing that's new is the little wall walk in Spongify to do Spongify castless. That might have been last month. I'm not entirely sure. But the big things, the big things that make this run impressive is you can even open the run if you'd like. The first room in Goyle. I think that's his second time ever performing that in a run, but I'm not sure. It could be the first time, but the second room in Goyle, or the first room in Goyle, where you would take a mushroom, place it on top of the little block where we do block,
Mm-hmm.
take another mushroom, throw it at a very specific angle, and then as it's falling, manual boost and time it so you're like right underneath the mushroom, so you boost through the door, and then kind of like into the ledge with like all the vines. And well, first of all, you need to take a mushroom all the way up there, but yeah, after you're all the way up there, you take the mushroom that you have gotten there, and then you're supposed to do the little dumb Goyle jump by getting a small ledge grab and dropping the shroom on like the other ledge.
Mhm.
Now, the reason that's a very notable moment that I wanted to touch on in the run is because that took like 3 hours. Um, just that
That's
strategy alone.
longest.
And and at 36 minutes and 44 seconds of the level itself, so like 36 minutes in these attempts, he got up. So the difficult part was over. All that was left was to do the dumb Goyle jump, and then he was literally home free, but he ended up getting a medium ledge grab.
Oh no.
What that does is the ledge grab eats your mushroom. It literally just clips out of bounds, and you have to die and try again. And then he had 2 more fails like that throughout these, I believe it's like 3.5 hours of attempts, which you need to like admire the persistence. You can even like see him just like stopping for like a couple of minutes or seconds here and there, probably to just like chill around for a bit. But yeah, yeah, there we go. 4 hours and 3 minutes in. Yeah, I think this is around 3 hours and 46 minutes in is when he finally got it. The attempt he finally got. So roughly like 3 hours later. So that's probably one of the 3 hardest strategies that I've ever seen in any of the Octafecta games. It's just so stupid. And you can even see like how careful he is when he finally makes it up. And then he even takes the save book and restarts his game just in case like something happens. Um, and yeah, there's obviously a lot of stuff to talk about in this run. Like I can talk about how impressive it is to me that Rick to Semper is 16 minutes because, you know, it's not, if I play it, it's gonna be like 2 hours. I can talk about his Bicorn setups, which not a lot of people touch on because he's the only one that ever plays Lowcast nowadays. But his Bicorn gnome clip setups are really good. They're consistent. That used to be considered one of the hardest parts of Lowcast.
We got a live update for Redburn. He said, actually, I restarted because I was going to delete files to clear space for the video.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Like no. It's gonna be a long.
Did you know it was gonna finish, by the way? Because you spent like what, 3 hours in Aragog? That's crazy. That's like the second thing I wanted to talk about. It's like,
yeah, that's
Aragog.
definitely like a commendable thing, right? Like, like commendable. I say. I think there's like a more fitting word, right? Like, yeah, exactly. Like that's the word I was looking for. Like, it's so like Lowcast people who play Lowcast have such commitment to like the challenge because like those runs can take forever. Like you just have to finish with the cast. There's no real
Oh yeah,
there's no real point of resetting, right?
yeah,
Like it's not like a traditional speed run where you go, oh, this run is actually just dead, and
e-
it's probably just better for you to
exactly. And
start
that's
over.
part of the reason why Lowcast is so impressive. Is it's because you can afford to take it easy and chill. Because as long as you get the casts, then you're fine. But at the same time, it's gonna take a while. I think Akon put it pretty well to me. Like when he was teaching me one low cast, the way he put it is like just brute force the strategy until it works. And what we see Ratburn attempt in Goyle over and over and over again here is exactly that. Just get the boost, doesn't matter when, just get it once, get me out of this level. I have everything else figured out. Which, by the way, he played the rest of Goyle like a machine. There was a little bit of struggles at the end with like, there's a segment where a gnome makes a mushroom small by almost eating it, but not quite. And Harry picks it up, and then you actually do a shroom boost from that gnome to jump over a spider web. I don't know if that was ever mentioned in a recap. Was it? Maybe it was. But yeah, that's also a pretty difficult strategy to get. And of course, like getting to that point is difficult. And before that, it's I don't know. It's just really impressive to me. I don't know what exactly I'm expected to talk about in regards to Ratburn's run.
Um,
Um, but yeah, Aragog, I
yeah,
don't
Aragog is
under.
probably something that should be
Yeah,
touched
Aragog
on.
basically. Okay, so the way I understand it is you stack a bunch of spiders on top of each other, and then you get like a really weird speed bob to get to then like that boosts you like out of bounds, and then you defendo the web that Aragog is on, and then you do the casts on him, which
Mm.
on paper sounds really easy, but we can see like it took like 3 hours to perform, and 4 hours even. Is it 4 hours? Yeah, it's 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours of Aragog. Which, by the way, I
That's a
really
lot of
appreciated the fact.
yeah.
I, I really appreciated the fact that it's the English Aragog, because English Aragog is like better.
Biting my children.
Yeah, and then Chamber. There's nothing really new in Chamber. Um, there's like the little wall walk at the end. It's really cool. There's the little crab bounce. But yeah, that run probably deserves like a podcast on its own, and one with Ratburn probably to break it down, because I'm definitely not qualified to. There's
Yeah,
stuff here that I don't really understand exactly how he does. I mean, I understand the idea. I just don't understand the execution behind it. And you will notice that for the run, like his resolution is really weird. The reason he did that, and I'm pretty sure he got that idea from Akon. In the Goyle boost, you need to have like it's good to have like vision of Harry's feet or Harry's entire body if possible to know where he's gonna land after the boost. So that's the reason the resolution's weird. Which Akon has notably been doing well ever since the Akon boost was found. But let's be honest, he's been playing with weird ass resolution this entire time because he's Akon. Yeah.
valid.
Um, and yeah, that's about it. 51. That's insane.
Do you think you can ever go sub 50?
Probably. I mean, we don't know. There's obviously like theoretical stuff, I'm sure, but I don't know. We'll get there eventually. When I joined the community, it was a 63. So for 2 years, we've saved 12 casts, which it's not really at the same time, but it's like 6 casts per year almost, which is pretty big. Obviously, like a big chunk of that is like 8 casts from like the Aragog, but even like the 4 that we have saved since then, or the people that have actually played the category have saved and routed stuff, it's still impressive to me. Like Connie finding little clip into wall walk in forest. That's really cool. And then the Spongify skip it like the to beat it castless. I believe it was Human who found the setup to get that wall walk consistently, though I could be wrong. That's also pretty cool. And then Ratburn has like contributions of his own, which is like setups for like the gnome throw in Rictus Sempra, the gnome casts in Rictus Sempra, the bicorn gnome clips. And he actually does something really smart there, which for the second gnome clip, if it doesn't work instantly, he lures the gnome over to the little bridge to trip him over and then pick him up again, and then tries it again. It's stuff like that that's really impressive to me. I would love to do a Lowcast breakdown at some point, but I would have to actually study the run because, like I said, it's not like I understand everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Um,
Like you say, it's definitely something that deserves like its own attention. But I definitely wanted to acknowledge the insanity that it is, but also the incredibleness that it is. Like it's a 10-hour run. You know, we can't just turn our nose up at that. And I think it's sort of a testament, like you say, to the fact that HP2 really at the moment is going through a bit of a golden age. Like Glitchless has had all this crazy stuff we've been talking about today. You've got this in Lowcast. You've got the all gold card strat. Sorry, the Harry Potter Wizard card strat that was found semi recently by I believe Tavern and names are escaping me now. Who found that? Help me, someone. It was Tavern and someone else.
What are you referring to?
The
what was that? I'm
early
also
gold
clueless.
cards. Early gold
Was
cards
that
strat.
Tevin? No,
I
that
think
was Tedder. That was Tedder and
Tedder,
Cass.
yes. Sorry, I get those two mixed up so often. Tedder and Cass, thank you.
Yeah.
Tedder and Cass.
Yeah, I thought one of the people
Yeah.
was Kaz, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
wasn't sure about the
Cass
other.
definitely found a setup for it. That
Yeah.
works for him.
But there's so much like things like that that are just getting like nice little optimizations that are making it really,
Yeah,
really cool to see.
people go for the lag jump in Bicorn now, which is, to me, it's ridiculous because when I joined the community, going for that was just out of the question. And now people are like, yeah, that's good time save.
Yep, especially in major glitches.
No, I'm
Anywho.
talking about any percent.
Oh yeah, any percent too, but no major glitches.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure you do it.
Well, in no major glitches, it's been in that run always, but for
Okay.
any percent, that's a pretty big development. Well, always. It's been in that run always theoretically. Can't remember. I think it was Luzak that did it first in NMG. Um, that was a while ago.
Okay. Well, to round this off, because I've just looked at how long we have been going for, and I did not realize we've been going for that long. We've nearly been live for 3 hours. We will round
Time
off.
flies when you have fun.
Indeed, when you talk about Harry Potter games. No, to round off, we'll talk about our highlights of the month, our individual highlight of the month. It could be something personal, it could be something community based, etc., etc. I think for me, my highlight of the month is the Glitchless tournament for different reasons that I think, say, Paul might say it. For me, it's my highlight because I love community events and when everyone comes together, and I love seeing the combined effort of runners, commentators, Nixo, or whoever's hosting the tournament, moderators, everyone combined, artists. If like Ilish has done some brilliant layouts for events in the past, she's doing more for Polygon and Podathon this year. Being joined by the wonderful Bent Cat as well this year, doing some motion graphics, which should be exciting. Plus, other events, all of this combined like community drive coming together for such an awesome event. And I believe it got front page on speedrun.com as well, which for us is good. Like I will take that and be happy about that. But that is my personal highlight of the month. Henrriik, what's yours?
Oh, can I copy your homework but change the words slightly? Because I was also going to say the tournament. It was something that I only really was invested in the very, very end of March, but at the same time, I wasn't invested in the community at all during the past few months. So to see everyone come together and the excitement and the fun and the laughs and everything that happened that in those 2 weekends, it was definitely something precious.
Agreed. Agreed. Nikki, I think I know what
Um,
yours is gonna be.
well, as for Harry Potter, obviously it's potion rush being added. I think I'll try to run it some more if I find the free time. Um, if I want to do a couple more, if I want to beat a narcissistic one, I'll do a couple more personal things, right?
Yeah,
Um, so I applied for a job at the local homeless shelter last month, and I got it. And
Woo.
this week is going to be my first full week of working there.
What a
So
chat.
I'm nervous and
You
kind of
got this.
excited.
You got this.
It's gonna
I'm so
be
proud of you.
rather difficult. It's gonna be rather difficult to like adjust from my other workplace, but that you know, I think I'll manage. And then I got asked to be part of the playtest team for the Harry Potter trading card game. People have been making
Ooh.
fan made sets, so I've been
that's awesome.
like that's what I've been occupying myself with for like the last like 3 to 4 days.
Ooh.
Nice.
I will touch on real quick. As someone who has, unfortunately, without getting too much into personal stuff, has been through a homeless shelter, um, hearing you wanting to go and work and be excited to try and make a difference, that makes me very happy. Um, I'm very, even though it's weird because it's like it's obviously you're in Belgium, I'm in the UK. There's no like
Yeah.
real connection there, but even though there isn't that, as someone who's been through a homeless shelter, or in fact two, there's that weird sort of I think there's an appreciation for wanting to go and work in that sort of a field and help people. So thank you, Nikki, for being an amazing person in that regard.
It's like not a like I mean I help myself a lot with like having a job like more so than like maybe just as much as the people I encounter, right? Like working at the nonprofit I was working at like gave me a lot of structure. I had like meals at like proper times of the day. Like today was like the first day that I woke up and like around the afternoon and then like around 12 I was like, oh fuck, I'm still hungry. Like I'm actually starving. Like what is this? And I came to the realization that like you're used to having food at 12 o'clock. Like you've been used to that for 6 months. So you gotta maintain that yourself now.
Yeah.
So it's been hard because I really liked working at that nonprofit, but on to bigger things.
You're
Exactly.
a Giga Chad, Nick.
Yep.
You're Portal, you're just too handsome, my guy.
No, you.
I'm just no,
Stop.
no, no. You
Dude, I'ma kiss you
stop.
when
You
we
gotta,
meet up.
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
coming to Belgium this year, you know.
Yeah, I do know that. Um,
I'll be in Brussels.
Uh,
That's probably there, my
I
husband.
I don't like my capital city, but for you I will be a big tough boy.
I don't think a lot of people love their own capital cities a lot of
yeah,
the time.
I can
I
attest.
don't know. It's just too big, and like people speak French there, and I don't understand them. Like I don't get them.
Fair enough.
And they always want something from me, and I'm like, dude, like I don't get what you want
Are
to
you
say.
swearing at me
Leave me
or
alone.
are you being
Let's
nice?
go some wine, monsieur.
Yeah, like uh, yeah.
Alright. Porto, what is your highlight of the month?
Well, it's it's gotta be learning the glitchless defendo skip and improving as much as I have during that month. is really important to me. I get that that's like a very just like personal and selfish thing, but
No, that's
this
exactly
is
what this point
probably
is.
my proudest achievement in the community since I've joined is that grind and that improvement. It really means a lot to me. Um, a lot of people were very nice and supportive during it, and I'm very happy that that was a part of my life. Um, and yeah, on on a personal matter, I'm doing well as well. So uh, yeah, I think it's got to be like speedrun wise, it's definitely that glitchless defendo skip, which I'll actually use Zasta's words for it. It revived glitchless from a dead category because nobody was running it anymore, or at least not at top level because of a learning curve that is hopefully going to be a lot easier for a lot of people now. And yeah, I'm very proud to have learned that and gotten my run to where it is right now.
Absolutely, you should be proud and not selfish at all. This whole like part is to allow you to talk about your personal highlights for the month. And yeah, you should be proud of that.
Sorry.
You put a massive effort into that grind and learning the strat, and that should definitely be commended. So well done. But if everyone has gone through their highlights, then I think that is the end of another episode of Recap Rewind, guys. We're coming out at the least live of just over 3 hours. So this is not going to become a reoccurring pattern, by the way, guys. Next month's episode isn't going to be 4 hours long.
No.
I'm just a long-winded person. Like, it's okay.
It's fine. Like we all like when me and Henrik did the interview about the redub, we're like, yeah, we'll do a quick interview. We ended up talking for like 45 minutes, and we were like, Jesus Christ.
For a quick 10 minutes interview, yes.
Yeah, like a mini. It
We
turned into a
talked
mini
about
podcast.
that.
But thank you very much as ever to my co-host Henrik for joining me, actually being here this month and not being busy with other stuff. How dare you? Nah, of course.
No. Yeah. Last month.
Imagine having a life,
was.
Jesus.
I know, right? Like you should be totally
Such a
dedicated
Not
to
gonna lie,
Harry Potter.
Henrik kind of cringe.
Crazy,
Diva,
bro.
yeah.
That's
The
crazy.
life aside.
And I have to say, as we're going through the thank yous here, a big thank you to Nickie, not just for this month being our head writer and host, but Nickie has done an incredible job writing the recap ever since November, and I have very much been grateful for the easing of the stress that has given me. Although I do have to admit, when in November I got a bunch of messages saying, I love this recap, it was really funny, the best one yet, and I'm like, thanks, guys. But
LMAO is
but
all
no,
I have
the
to
the
say.
recaps have gotten like
I
progressively
mean, it
better.
definitely still has your input, right? I feel like it's
Oh
now
yeah,
a joint effort. Like I'm just putting words to it, you know.
yeah. Like I'm still
Definitely.
the one making the notes. I'm editing them, and I ultimately, I guess, have an editorial say over what does
I
and doesn't
really
get in.
enjoyed this one. I put a
Yeah,
ping on my Discord every time a new one comes out, and that one was kind of special to me because it came out on my birthday. So
Uh,
I'll
yeah.
remember it with good.
Happy belated birthday.
on purpose.
Yes.
Definitely on purpose.
Well, it was nice
Thank you,
because
Nicky.
It was
This
my
is
gift.
this
It was
is
my
yeah, this
gift
is
to
your
you.
gift to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I
it
love
was
you.
nice as well because the memes that Luke had given me, the recap, were in there too, and like having that come out on his birthday too because it was also Luke's
Yeah, yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
Was a really cool thing. And I will say again, that was probably one of my favorite parts of the recap was the whole meme section. Plus, I have to say, the whole cult bit. It's honestly one of the proudest bits we've ever done for me. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but the combination of everything in that bit, plus the live action, it's not something I want to make too much of a habit of because I think it does. If you use it too much, I think it would detract from the whole overall. But little bits like
Mm-hmm.
that, I think we've sort of struck a good point now where we have
I thought it was very
inf-
entertaining.
info, little bit of like comedic bit, info. You know, we space it out and we have a good mix. And I think we've found that balance now. And with SLS being involved on the team as well now, and also having our new recap informers, including Portal, who is our PC informer, coming around to Portal. Thanking you, Portal, for joining us today.
I have information. Pkine has been live for 24 hours.
Has he?
Playing HP1
Yeah.
and HP2 and HP3.
Jesus Christ. Pkine is insane. And he is up for election at the moment in the Wizengamot election. I am slightly breaking the rules here, but I'm going to say it. The Wizengamot election is happening right now, and if you're listening to this when it's out on YouTube, until Sunday the 21st at 7 p.m. UTC, you can go and vote in the elections if you have a valid time on the main leaderboard in the respective games. If you want to vote for an HP2 mod, you must have an HP2 time, HP3,
Go
etc., etc.
vote. Go
And please
vote.
remember that,
Go
because
vote.
the amount of
Go
people
vote.
today that have come into the common room in the PC Discord is like, oh yeah, I filled in the form wrong. I filled in the form wrong. It's like, guys, I love you all, but please fill in the form right. But anyway, that's going to be it for us. Any final words from anyone before we round off this sucker?
HP6 Pog Champ.
No!
HP6 Pop
Yeah.
Champ.
HP6
No!
Pog
I
Champ,
told you to
HP6
clean
Pog
all this
Champ,
up, Nicki!
HP6 Pog Champ. HP6
Right.
Pog Champ,
Thank you for watching,
HP6
everyone.
Pog Champ.
I hope you've enjoyed. If you
You
haven't
know, you
enjoyed...
guys have great chemistry. You should do more acting.
But yeah, if you guys have
Thanks.
enjoyed, please do check out us more of our shows. Oh, so okay, if you haven't already, if you've listened to this entire recap rewind and haven't watched this month's recap, what are you doing? Go check the description; it's linked there. Also, again, we are recruiting for a variety of roles. So if you're interested in joining the team and working with some of these lovely people that you see in front of you, then fill in the forms and we will be in touch. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching.
We won't quite much.
No, we won't. Thank you so much for watching there, and we will see you all soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.